give thanks for life. Yeah, man, love black people. I'm going to say, you're the provider, Selassie, and the Almighty. Joe! Rastafari, live on the end of the art of our flesh. Kalonji, boom, get the place of fire, rises high. Open the eyes, you better be wise. Yeah, man,
welcome. This is episode number 10 of Catcha Fyah. I feel as though this is somewhat of a small milestone, 10 episodes. We want to thank everybody that's viewed the program so far. Thanks to everybody who's come on the program and shared the energy with us, shared the knowledge on various topics. Tonight, we're dedicating this episode to another special topic. We're speaking hemp, and we're also trying to highlight the difference between hemp and marijuana. We're going to be talking the benefits, we're going to be talking the pros and the cons. We're also going to be talking how Barbados as a society, the wider region, can come up to, I suppose, up to the time the rest of the world, gravitating towards, I suppose, more lenient policies regarding marijuana. So when we come back, we have a special guest here. We're going to speak all about it. We'll be back.
Was said that the herb he provided for I and I. They don't want you to know marijuana. It's up and be free, just so let it be. They don't want you to know marijuana. It's up and be free, just so let it be. Whoa, herb smoke, keep I sane, take my pain, stop my grain, so much I gain, so I blame. I sane, I might bring the right strain to my brain, pitch up lightning like I wane. Come and they up on the lava grown, and if them soft like a guava, them can't come round this part of town. Telling you the thought alone, I coulda Sparta, it falter down. Revival, hallelujah, it start up now, reprisal, for the luja, it water down, a pardon no. But they in a me garden strong. This is not a marijuana song. Cause they don't want you to know marijuana. It's up and be free, just so let it be. They don't want you to know marijuana. It's up and be free, just so let it be. This is not marijuana music, just a message from the ones that use it. Don't abuse it. Has a mind that fertile, bring forth something that worthwhile. Know your worth, child. Cause no officer alive coulda look in at my eyes and see what I prophesize. My mind it forever occupies thoughts of hold my talk a spice amongst us. In trouble from my trouble me, then my chalice I go bubble it. Drop in a one load then double it. Power they in a me garden strong. This is not a marijuana song. Cause they don't want you to know marijuana. It's up and be free, just so let it be. They don't want you to know marijuana. It's up and be free, just so let it be. So me say, listen up, the truth is to be told. Open your eyes, there's beauty to behold. What is the new if you consider the old? Again the world and not consider your soul. What is the cloud if you understand the lining? Who is the king if you consider the lineage? You know it's him, so no continue deny him. Is it freestyle if I consider the line? Then configure the timing or just to fit the rhyme scheme. With no trouble to my mind really, see. But they in a me garden strong. This is not a marijuana song. Cause they don't want you to know marijuana. It's up and be free, just so let it be. They don't want you to know marijuana. Youths, it's up and be free, just so let it be. Cause they don't want you to know marijuana. It's up and be free, just so let it be. They don't want you to know marijuana. Heights up and be free. Just so let it be. And I let them know that the herb is a lifeline. No, they would never want you to know. And they would never want you to know. So be free. And they would never want you to know. Never want you to know. No, 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 no. Never want you to know.
Okay, so we're back, and like I told you, we have a special guest on the program this evening. He's Greg Mosey Clark. He's the owner and the managing director of Hemp Foods Barbados. So we're going to give him a chance, obviously, to explain that in full detail. Like I said, on this program this evening, we're going to be trying to distinguish the difference between hemp and marijuana. You know, there's several reservations about the difference between the two. So welcome to the program, Greg.
Thanks for having me. Firstly, Hemp Foods Barbados is a venture started about a year ago, centered around the nutritional benefits of the hemp plant, whereby I speak to retail things like alternatives to milk, chocolate with hemp in it, seeds which are non-growing and for nutritional purposes, pasta, there's even a beer. But the whole thing behind it is there's a market out there for persons who don't use meat or dairy products and have alternative diets who need the nutritional content which hemp provides.
So you're going even further than soya and all the other alternatives that you have available for vegetarians, etc.
Yes,
so,
it's actually better than soya because if you do your research, you will see that hemp is high in magnesium, calcium, phosphorus, vitamins A, B, and a lot of other nutritional vitamins which you don't find in the other traditional alternatives to milk. And there was actually some research put out recently to show that soya really is not that good for you.
Okay. We live in Barbados, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty. How has it been for you over the last year introducing this new product to Barbados?
It was initially challenging because I was faced with the task of explaining to people what hemp is, allaying any fears that they may have that it may be intoxicating, anything like that. But then I stopped for a second and I refocused my efforts. And I said to myself, there's a definite niche market out there for this product. I'm not going to put effort into convincing somebody. I'm going to put my effort into finding those people who fit what I am offering.
Okay, so you're saying to me that there are already enough people in Barbados who are health conscious, who are aware enough, educated enough to know the benefits of things.
I believe they are, because if you look around, you have stores like Jen's and Nations Discount who've been around for a while and they offer nutritional foods as well. Yeah. I am doing the same thing, just specifically hemp products.
Okay. Outside of that now, the rest of the world obviously has been dealing with hemp, I suppose, for eons. Cars, rope, clothes, shoes, you name it. The second part of that, obviously, is hemp is actually part of marijuana, even if it's a byproduct, whatever you want to look at it. It is taken marijuana. So that's a separate market that we're talking about altogether, where there's the sale of medicinal marijuana. There's also the issue of decriminalization. So, I mean, do you have input, I suppose, in that part of the industry, with that advancement?
Well, firstly, let me stress that hemp is not marijuana. They both come from cannabis sativa, but they categorize hemp as cannabis sativa L. I generally explain it to people like this. If you had an identical twin, you will visually look the same, but genetically you will be different. Right. It's the same with the cannabis sativa plant. That, and if you actually look at the two plants visually, you can tell the difference between a budding hemp plant and something that's marijuana. So people just need to be more aware.
Okay, well, what I'm trying to find out from you is, we're going to talk about the hemp industry, obviously, in its fullness. But what I'm talking about now, the current debate right now, I mean, I'm trying to bring it into a current situation. The debate around the world right now is not really a hemp issue. It's more a marijuana issue.
Right.
The decriminalization of marijuana, that's one.
Right.
And then two, the complete legalization, I suppose, for sale, medicinal purposes, etc. We even have, for example, who's championing a cause,
and Jamaica as well, and already something with Canada.
Started, right.
The
so
Canada,
I'm saying to you, we're going to get back to him. But let's talk marijuana now. I mean,
True.
How do you feel? Yeah,
honestly, I think the law is just a joke. Because it is set up to prevent the use, and clearly it is not achieving its objective.
Yeah.
So it is wasting time. Plain and simple.
Right. Okay, so in between that, you're talking about young men, you're talking about productive citizens who face challenges or who may run into difficulties because of using marijuana. I mean,
well, I think the issues that they I don't want to touch too much on this because I'm not an expert in the field.
Okay.
But I think the legal issues they encounter stem from what the law says right now.
Right. Okay. We're not stressing that. Like you said, an expert, where he is an expert though, is in hemp. So I want you to go
Becoming the
back to
expert, yeah.
that. Right. So I want you to go back to that now and tell me, are we missing a viable industry in Barbados?
I believe we are. If you go online and you do your research, you will see that hemp is an entire industrial crop. Historically, it has been used to build cars. Henry Ford made his first car out of hemp fiber, hemp fiberglass, and it ran off of hemp fuel. Christopher Columbus, infamous Christopher Columbus, sailed with hemp sails and hemp ropes on his cars. You can go as far back as digs in Mesopotamia to find scripts written on hemp paper. So hemp has a long history in human civilization. It is only in around 1937 when the FBI in the US made it illegal. That's a industrial issue because out of hemp, not just give me a sec, when you harvest the crop, you take the seed, you compress the seed and get oil. That is a direct competitor to fossil fuel. You can take the stalks, process the stalks, and you get a fiber, which is stronger and better quality than cotton. So you see, it is a direct rival to the already established industry. Interesting note is that the trees that we make paper from are only about 30% cellulose. A hemp plant is 80%. So you can see how much more paper we can make from hemp than from trees. Additionally, you can grow about 3 or 4 times more hemp per acre than you can grow cotton. And that is something that you can produce. We used to do Sea Island cotton. We can do Sea Island hemp. That's a new industry waiting to happen.
My thing is fun. I think a lot of people have access to this information. What I'm trying to find out now is all these other industries that you talk about, are we going to put them to rest and focus on production? Because we're already talking about thriving industries. There are many people who benefit from all these industries.
I agree.
Crude oil, etc. So realistically, how is it that we're going to make it?
No, I'm not telling you to stop those industries because the persons who have interest in those industries aren't looking to give up anytime soon.
Right.
I have an interest in building the hemp industry,
Right.
so I will do that the best that I can.
But you're talking about a multi-purpose
Right.
plant.
So then now, when you look at it now, you can see there's a way that you can blend hemp oil into normal crude oil and still produce a cleaner diesel. You can use the hemp fiber to make a blended fiber with cotton. If you interchange hemp with other crops, you see a reduction in future pests in that crop. So it's a rotation crop.
At least want to see the commodities.
So there's an established commodity, and hemp can help these commodities, especially in agriculture, where by a process of phytoremediation, it removes toxins out of the soil and help replenish it. Also, when you harvest the hemp crop, you can plow the stalks back into the ground because you cut the stalk kind of like a sugar cane, but you leave the root in the ground. But it doesn't rot in. So you need to, if you plow it in, that's natural, organic, biodegradable matter that you're putting back into the soil as fertilizer. Not to mention, we live now in a green society, and they're always talking about the CO2 emissions in the air. Hemp takes in so much CO2 and locks it in. So when you harvest the crop, that's CO2 that's there. That when you put it back in the soil, now it fertilizes it naturally. And in Australia and places like France, it's about, I don't remember the exact date in France, but there's a lady in France who has an industry or company building strictly hemp houses. So there is construction in hemp as well, whereby you take the inner core of the fiber and mix it with lime and make a mold of it. And what happens is with time, that mold will petrify into a solid rock. So you have, like, if you had to take a block from somewhere, you have something hard like that.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I think we just had a heavy dose of the technical stuff surrounding hemp. So there should be no doubt in your mind now as to the difference between hemp and marijuana, and also the purposes as well. When we come back, we're going to talk about the mindset that would have given Greg the confidence to start holding support and going into an ventures market. When we come back, we're going to Catcha Fyah.
From your love trees, make me see a lighter, lighter. Ha! Oh, yeah. Oracle, me and tell them, say, dash. Well, I'm a smoking for deeper meditation. The vibes it brings for me with inspiration. The word is out, healing of the nation. It's a tree of life from since creation. Somebody in the country is the frustration. So bless the hands that small farm and plantation. The smuggler, X and importation. On every hustle of a condemnation. Can do it at my ganja. Flouting ganja. My weed. Ganja. Ganja. Yeah, do it at my ganja. 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 Whoa. It's good for the nerve, it's good for the brain. Take one lick of the chalice, man, alleviate the pain. Doctors use it and lawyers just the same. So when I'm done free, they use them on the corner and the lay. It keep me humble, but nothing the lion take. Rasta man, I hold the meditation and us stay. Some boom draw make me fly like a plane. So we take it and we lick it any corner any may. Ganja, flouting, ganja, my weed, ganja, ganja. Yeah, do it at my ganja, ganja, ganja. From your love trees, make me see a lighter. Good sense, I mean, I really like ya. From your love trees, make me see a lighter. Heart sense, I mean, I really under. From your love trees, make me see a lighter. Good sense, I mean, I really like ya. From your love trees, make me see a lighter. Tough sense, I mean, I really under. Can do it at my ganja. Flouting ganja. My weed. Ganja. Ganja. Yeah, do it at my ganja. 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 Whoa. It's good for the nerve, it's good for the brain. Take one lick of the chalice, man, alleviate the pain. Dash.
Okay, just before the break, we were given, obviously, like I said, a full background into the purpose of hemp, its use, many uses, obviously, would have been outlined just now. I want to talk to you now about the mindset that you're talking about, education-wise, in terms of people obviously knowing the difference between the two, hemp and marijuana, and the benefits and so on. Because if you're saying to me that this is a viable industry, it means that we're missing out, obviously, on something very critical that the rest of the world is capitalizing on right now. So coming, I suppose, back from 40, 50 years ago, I will put it into context, Barbados. How do we even attempt to, I don't know, shuffle information up there? Yeah.
Well, the mindset is a.
I mean, you addressed that earlier, not personally. You did address that when you said, obviously, that you're not catering, obviously, to those people who obviously have a negative mindset towards it. But I'm talking about the mindset among those people who have information and they obviously want to use this information. So how do we go about that?
What about getting people who are into the product to use the information?
Obviously, to act upon it and use it correctly. There are many people obviously who know the benefits of hemp, and they're still not obviously diving into the benefits of hemp. So I'm saying to you,
well, I think they're not diving into it. Maybe a result of its accessibility.
That's where you come in.
Yeah, that's where I'm now trying to build and get myself to a point where I can supply of sorts to, as well as retail myself to those persons who have an interest in having the product. From the onset, I've been involved with some companies or some up and coming entrepreneurial businesses or enterprises, as I like to call them. I don't like the term small business. I think it's a very restrictive mindset. I like the term a growing enterprise. Places such as Lionshare Cafe in Warrens, that's a vegan restaurant who can directly benefit from my products. Shamani's in Canary Mall, that's another place I have an arrangement with. There's also Roots Plus Veggie Deli in London Bourne Towers. And there are other persons who would like do punches on the street who would buy the protein or the seeds from me and make their punches. Roots Natural is another one. A guy named Zuki who makes those punches. And there's another guy who does his own punches and he would take out my product when he goes out to sell his. A guy named Akibu. So I'm getting to people who have a hustle, and this product that I'm offering is in tandem with what they're offering. So it is a partnership that can work with things. It's not something that I see, well, I have this new product and let me try and get it into Supercenter. They don't need me for that. They have their own chains already. One of the first ventures that I went into locally with the Earth Mother Botanicals in St. John. They're responsible for the production of my soap and my moisturizer.
The
All
sativa products you're talking about.
Sativa, yeah, sorry, the brand for the body care brand is Sativa Botanicals,
Yeah.
made locally by Earth Mother Botanicals. They're located in St. John, and that's made from 100% hemp oil. Now, if we could produce hemp oil locally, that's a 100% Bajan product that we have to sell to somebody to earn foreign exchange. You see where I'm going?
So what's preventing us or the government or from
I,
the entity?
I can't speak for the government.
Right.
I suppose I don't know.
So
They keep saying
why can't you produce an oil or why can't somebody else?
because it is illegal to grow cannabis.
Okay.
There is no legal distinction between marijuana and hemp. It is all categorized under the umbrella of cannabis sativa.
Right. Mhm.
So it doesn't matter how much the judge knows or how much the officer knows. As far as the law is concerned, it is cannabis sativa, and you will may be prosecuted for growing hemp.
Okay, so you can import hemp oil,
Yes, I can.
right. But you can't grow it and then produce it here.
That is the area. I can import hemp beer, but you can't grow hemp. I can import hemp seeds for edible purposes, but you can't grow it. I can import hemp milk, which is similar to almond milk and soy milk, but more nutritious. Which is something that, again, if we were producing these seeds, we could grow local, we can make it locally and have another product to produce. But because of the restrictions of the law, you can't. But you can't.
5 years, 10 years from now, obviously we live in a world where things evolve and change every day. So, given your research, your level of research that you would have done recently, where do you see things going in the region within the next 5 to 10 years for the advancement of the product itself?
In the region, I have no doubt that the rest of the region will go ahead and take hemp and cannabis further because the Prime Minister of St. Vincent, Ralph Gonzalez, is keen, as far as I can see, to start discussions. I always laugh when I hear them say discussion because to me that gives the impression of doing something while really doing nothing.
Right.
And then we have Jamaica, who's already taken a step medically to make a deal with Canada to have an industry start there. Now, it is a shame that we in Barbados have to sit back and watch these things happen in the region, let alone what's happening internationally, and claim that we are such a developing or developed country when you have these laws in place which are holding you back.
Okay, so let me ask you another question. It's okay to say at the end of the day that we're going to start developing, I suppose, certain products in Barbados. When you look around, what is required? Let's say tomorrow the government says, okay, if that's what you guys want, we're going to put financing, we're going to make sure that we invest. What has to be done? Because at the end of the day, it's okay to identify problems, to identify what's lacking. So I want you to, I suppose, explain to me what are the steps. Give the government of Barbados some advice. No, I'm being very serious.
You serious?
I'm being serious.
Give
Because
the
I'm sure
lawmakers
that
advice on how to make something that's legal? Really?
Not necessarily.
But that's where it
How-
needs to start.
No, but okay, fine. But let's get past that part. How do they go about making it a viable industry?
First of all, the industries that I mentioned, whereby producing oil and the soap as well as the protein powder, are things that we do in Barbados already.
Yeah.
We have, I think it's Paradise Green in Green Hill producing biofuel. We have Amalot in Ed Chill producing biofuel. They go around and scavenge the restaurants for oil. We're producing with hemp, you can produce a product that produces this oil.
Right.
So that's direct feedstock into something that's existing already. It's the same with Earth Mother Botanicals and Sativa Botanicals brand. There exists, and so the point I'm making is that while hemp would be new,
Yeah.
there are existing industries and areas which would directly benefit. So your setup in certain areas are less.
Yeah.
Not to mention that people looking for work. You bring a new industry, it will require new agricultural hands, new technologies. Every year we spend a lot of money educating people. We say that you don't get the benefit of the university. This is the prime example of how the university can give you back something by doing research and development on hemp. Why sit down and wait for somebody to say, hey look, hemp has these benefits, and then we say, oh shoot, yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
It does not make sense.
We're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we want to talk about cancer. We did an episode number 3, with the cancer survivor. We weren't able to show, obviously, all of the footage. We had some bad audio, but she herself, obviously, Felicia Nicole, admitted that cannabis, marijuana, drinking it as tea, etc. would have aided her in terms of pain, etc. So you would have done some research, I suppose, as far as cancer is concerned. Right. So you wanted to talk to
A little.
so I suppose male, female, anybody who may be ailing with cancer and who may not be educated. I want to dedicate at least 5 minutes to the program, obviously, to from what little expertise you may have, because you're not an expert.
True.
So when we come back, we'll talk cancer for 5 or 6 minutes, and we take a quick break.
Chorus, right? Me love the way you call my name, scream my name. Love the way you say heart of fire, like a plane through the air. You make my loving go higher. Call my name, scream my name. Love the way you say heart of fire, like a plane through the air. You make my loving go higher. One moment with you can last me a lifetime. With the vibes and the energy you have, girl, make we go up on the beach and relax, yeah. Hard cruising a boat, and let's take a flight somewhere. As long as I'm with you, girl, nothing else in this world compares. Love the way you call my name, scream my name. Love the way you say heart of fire, like a plane through the air. You make my loving go higher. Call my name, scream my name. Love the way you say heart of fire, like a plane through the air. You make my loving go higher. I love the things you do to me, especially when it rains outside. My mind constantly telling me you're my future bride. No one else can say my name like you, girl. You make my dreams come true, girl. Bringing things to reality, and you got me higher than gravity. Call my name, scream my name. Love the way you say heart of fire, like a plane through the air. You make my loving go higher. Call my name, scream my name. Love the way you say heart of fire, like a plane through the air. You make my loving go higher. No one else but you. Oh, nah, nah. And you make my dreams come true. Love the way you call my name. Yeah, 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 yeah. No one else makes me feel the same. Call my name, scream my name. Love the way you say heart of fire, like a plane through the air. You make my loving go higher. Call my name, scream my name. Love the way you say heart of fire, like a plane through the air. You make my loving go higher.
Okay, so we're back. Like you said before, we took a break just now. We're going to talk a little bit of cancer right now. One of the big things around the world, obviously, is marijuana being a component, a healing component, obviously, for patients who have cancer. So I don't know, from what you know, I don't know if you can speak to, obviously, people in Barbados, people in the region who may be ailing from cancer. I don't know, give, offer some encouragement. How beneficial is it?
Well, from starting this venture, I've had quite a number of contact with persons who had different forms of cancer seeking assistance because they did their research and they probably would have seen Rick Simpson come out on YouTube and say he cured his cancer using a cannabis oil which he makes. And they would have contacted me to find out if I could assist them. I don't sell that type of oil. The oil I sell is seed oil from the hemp seed, which is completely different. And even that has been proven to help some forms of cancer because of the high EFA content. So to those people, I would just advise them, do your research on it first before you go and try to source any, and speak to your doctor. people have actually told me that their doctor was in favor of it, but again, because of the current legal situation, they were hesitant, and some people actually had to travel overseas to receive treatment.
I don't know a lot about the law though, but is there anything in the framework on the books that you actually support medicinal marijuana, medical marijuana to Barbados?
Firstly, let me say that there are two components in marijuana. There's CBD and there's THC, which is what we most often hear of. The CBD is not psychoactive, and the research, some of the research that I've seen so far, indicates that that is the healing component in it. Others say that the THC is also part of the healing component as well as the pain killing component. But I can't say for certain, but the law, from what I understand, categorizes cannabis based on its resin or its THC content. So any compound that does not have any THC, which you can show that does not have any THC, is not a threat to the law. Interestingly to note is that currently under the current restricted importations of Barbados, you can import cannabis for medical purposes under license from the chief medical officer. And that's an avenue that I am very eager to explore. And it's just to make contact with the right people.
Okay. What would have prompted you, I suppose, to take up such a challenge? Obviously, you're in a niche market. There are not many people who do what you're doing. Obviously, there have shops. Obviously, you offer some of the products. But you branded yourself Hemp Foods Barbados.
Yes.
Then you have Sativa Botanicals. So I want you to talk about your mindset personally now, behind starting this mission.
Personally, no one ever got ahead by being ordinary. So in order to get ahead now for me in business, I need to have something that's new, that's different. I mean, if people see it, they'll be like, well, there's nothing else like this. I mean, I could have gone and tried, I guess, holding events like other people, nothing against them, but there's so many people doing that. Why jump into that pool? So I was looking for an avenue which is pretty much untouched, that I could just take and run with. And once I started with the hemp and realized that we already had protein and milk on shelves in our gens and nature's discount, well, it was full steam ahead, just figuring out how is it I can import this product. And once I did that, it was just a matter of finding as many products as I could find. For me personally, next, I want to get out of having to import and start to produce a lot more of these things locally. I've already started with the soap and the moisturizer with Earth Mother Botanicals and Sativa Botanicals, and I want to expand that into other products. I already have some arrangements with, I don't want to call them street hustlers, but I call them road entrepreneurs if you want to, whereby they
It's all business.
it's true, whereby they buy either the protein or the seeds and mix it into their CMOS punch or their health punch, which is a different something now altogether. So when people who know of hemp and see a punch, what? This is tiny boy, let me try this. So that's a market there for somebody who has his own avenue already for him to expand. And I also grow as well. So it's a joint thing.
A lot of the guys that you're talking about, a lot of the women that you're speaking about, who have these hustles going on. What I do know is that many of them actually have a very personal commitment to health.
Yeah.
A personal commitment to not the traditional form of medicine, but we're talking about the traditional form of medicine, right? So at the end of the day, what is it for you? Do you have a personal dedication to health, to consciousness, or is this just business? If it's just business, that's fine with me too. I just trying to figure
But no, it can't just be business. Because if it's just business, you're gonna find yourself doing things just to make the dollar. And at the end of the day, that's not gonna be good for the brand or the image you have for your company. Yes, I do have a personal connection to hemp and cannabis as a whole. I use the products daily, and it has really become a part of my life since using it, because I can't sell something to somebody if I don't know what it is like. That's my personal belief. And going forward, and as I've started, I'm trying trade and have already made connections with people who have a vested connection to the plant. Because if you speak to anybody who uses cannabis, you will find that they're a very spiritual person, a very calm person, a very airy to say.
This as opposed to what, somebody who drinks alcohol?
Like we all drink and we all know and see the effects of when people have a little too much alcohol. So I'm just building something with people who have a connection to it as well, not people who just looking, well, I could push this off and make some money. I'm not looking for that sort of person.
So it's safe for us to say at the end of this program that the law as it stands right now in Barbados is nonsense.
Say that again.
Is it fair for us to say right now that the law as it stands in Barbados is nonsense?
Well, I'm gonna take
saying a brighter tomorrow.
I'm gonna take a lead from my friend Nadia Phillips and her no filter theme.
Filter.
That's right. It is nonsense. It's utter nonsense.
Right.
The way the law currently deals with marijuana, cannabis, sativa, hemp, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
To me personally.
You got to plug no filter right now. Maybe the next no filter this fall.
Actually,
coming out with talk.
it's true. I'll be at that one for sure. Hemp Foods Barbados has just been approved by No Filter to be one of their sponsors. So I'm going to be working with Nadia going forward on that. Looking forward to that venture as well.
Good.
Big up to Nadia. No Filter people, check it out.
On that note, like I said, we normally show music videos. What we're going to show you is a trailer for one of the many Bajan movies that are coming up this summer. Our next episode next week, we're going to be talking about this entire industry, the movie industry in Barbados, where it's come from, where it's going. We're going to be talking to some of the young people who are actually keeping this thing together and making it happen independently, without that financial government support that everybody is needing and waiting for, right? So when we come back next week, we're going to hear all about it. The budding music industry in Barbados / movie industry as well. This has been episode number 10 of Catcha Fyah. We're going to leave you with the trailer for Bajan Kung Fu movie. I think that's a pretty interesting movie. You're going to see this summer. Lots of great work put into that one as well. So final words, Greg. I don't know. Wake up now, Barbados. I don't know. Tell them.
Yes, Barbados, wake up. Green is good. You need to really educate yourself and not always take what you see in the media as is. Because if you really think about it, for something that's so dangerous, how many people you can say have died from it? And with that, all they can do is encourage people to just educate themselves. I'm not trying to convince people, but have an open mind and at least research it for yourself before you make up your mind about it. Before I go, I just want to say a special thanks to Borderline Hair Studios, who's been real assistance throughout this entire thing, as well as Beers Burgers. They both kind of do me a favor in terms of getting the product out there. And that's something you really need as a young upstarting person or in any business. You need a support group of sorts, people who want to see you do good, not just people who are trying to get what they can off of you, you know. So with that, thanks again for having me.
Definitely. Maximum respect.
And Barbados, remember, check me out, www.facebook.com/HempFoodsBarbados, as well as at HempFoods246 and HempFoodsBarbados on Instagram.
Right, there you go. Social media, that's where you can find us. I didn't tell you about the entire interview, but we're actually here in the independent square and we're so many you guessed it, but you know. So maximum respect to our sponsors with visual media, Exodus with as well. We'll see you next week.
You got a quick shot at some of the products.
Students of Mountain Temple, gather in the sacred garden for a special announcement from Master Raj.
This fight shall determine who advances to the right hand of the master. Now, fight!
Tijano,
Yes, Master Raj.
call Shen Zeng and Tozun at once.
Right away, Master Raj. Chenzin, Tosa, Master Raj requests to see you right away.
Master.
I had a vision. Go to the cave temple and investigate. Go now!
Master Raj.
Lynx, sit.
Here. You're here.
Don't ignore me. You will be mine.
My love is only for Shenzhen.
Shenzhen?
Today, we welcome Lynx, Prince of the North Clan, to take the hand of Princess Kira.
Go with these fools and retrieve the sword. And don't come back until you find it. Go! Go!
Yes, master.
That's the fight. Begin.